What's up, travel bugs, and welcome to today's video. This is the second video in our three-part series of our trip to New River Gorge National Park, so if you didn't catch our first video, make sure to go check that out. On our way to historic Thurmond, we stopped at Dunloup Falls. This waterfall is located along the creek that runs parallel to Thurmond Road. The waterfall is easily accessed by a pull-off along the roadside and some rocks scrambling down to the water level. We've included the GPS coordinates in the description box below if you want to visit this waterfall. So we've now made it to Thurmond, West Virginia. So Thurmond was founded in 1873 as a rail town that supported the coal and timber industries. So the town included a number of businesses, including banks, restaurants, hotels, a meat processing facility, and even more luxurious options like a jewelry store and a movie theater. The train depot serviced about 15 passenger trains each day at its height and serving about 75,000 people each year. Thurmond is considered a boom town where there was a lot of activity all at once and then a decline. So there are a few things that contributed to the town's decline, including the construction of a road and the use of automobiles over trains, and also the change from steam engine trains to diesel trains. So both of these led to the decline of Thurmond. So after the Great Depression and throughout the 20th century, we see Thurmond's industries transition from railroads to recreation. So for example, the first whitewater rafting company in New River Gorge was founded here in Thurmond, and there were a number of businesses that also supported visitors who were coming into town. And there are still people who live in Thurmond. The population is small, but there are still people who live here, and there are still some buildings who are owned by the residents. So contrary to popular belief, Thurmond is not considered a ghost town. There are still residents here, and there is still a lot of activity going on because of the park. So if you're interested in visiting Thurmond, be sure to come and visit, particularly during the peak months of summer and early fall, where you can visit the railroad depot that has been turned into a visitor center. You can see exhibits, and you can get your passport book stamped here at the visitor center as well. They also offer some guided tours, which is something that we're going to be doing today. our visit to Thurmond, we took advantage of the walking tour offered by the National Park Service. This was a really great way to hear some of the stories about Thurmond and get more information about each of the buildings that remain at the site. We really enjoyed looking into the windows of the buildings along the main street and seeing the remains of tile work and wallpaper. It was hard to believe that decades ago this town would have been bustling with so many people, and today all that remains are the buildings. In addition to exploring the main buildings that run along the railroad tracks, you can walk the road that takes you up onto the hillside. This area is residential, so you can see the remains of historic homes. There are people who still live in Thurmond, so please be respectful of the residents and their property. So we got really lucky that a freight train is passing through Thurmond right now. It's actually stopped right in front of the depot, but it was really exciting because we saw the lights starting to flash on the signals and we could hear the train coming. So we ran to the depot and now we're able to get some cool views of it. now made it to the top of Nuttalburg. Nuttalburg was one of the many coal mining towns here along New River. This now abandoned complex is the best intact coal mining complex in the United States. Nuttalburg gained national attention when the complex and mine was purchased by Henry Ford. Henry Ford attempted to integrate something called vertical integration. With vertical integration, he wanted to own all components of the mining process, including the mine itself, the mining complex, the town, and the transportation that would take the coal for sale. Unfortunately, he was unable to fully do this process, so he sold the mine after just 8 years of owning the complex. In addition to owning the mining complex, Henry Ford also made a bunch of improvements to the property, including the construction and design of the coal tipple and conveyor system that we can still see here today. So the structure that we're in now is what would be called the head house. This is where the coal would come out of the mine on these coal carts. They would be weighed, and then the contents of the carts would be dumped onto the conveyor that we can see here that takes the coal the whole way down the mountain, and there it gets separated by size and then gets transported onto the railroad. So it's really cool right here because you can see this spot where the carts would stop and then be tilted, so then all the coal could be emptied onto the conveyor. It's really neat because you can see all of the different gears in the machinery that would be operating this. In our previous video, we visited the Kmore mine site. Like Kmore, Nuttalburg was a very successful coal mine along New River. In comparison to Kmore, today the Nuttalburg site is more preserved as more structures are intact for you to explore. Those sites are definitely worth visiting because they preserve such an integral part of New River Gorge's coal mining history. So today the entrance to the coal mine is not accessible to people, but it is accessible to bats, which is why the entrance to the mine remains open. So bats, including 2 endangered species of bats, use abandoned mines for habitats and roosting places to have their young. So that's part of why the entrance to the mine remains open. And when we're standing here at the mine, we can feel the cold air coming out. Historically, this mine remained 54 degrees Fahrenheit, and we can really feel the cool air. We can even see the plants outside the mine moving around because the air is coming out, and it's really interesting to feel that temperature difference. During this visit to New River Gorge, we only visited the top of the Nuttalburg Historic Site via the Headhouse Trail. However, on a previous trip, Catherine visited the Nuttalburg site from the bottom, so we're going to include some video that she got on that trip so you can see the entire site here. The bottom of the Nuttalburg site is where you can see the town. You can see the remains of homes, town buildings, the railroad, and the coal tipple structure from the bottom, which is in really great condition, so it's really cool to walk around and see from that angle. There are also several trails at the bottom of Nuttalburg, including the Seldom Seen Trail, the Tipple Trail, and the Town Loop Trail. These are really great to hike if you want to see most of the remaining structures. The bottom of Nuttalburg can either be accessed by trail or by road. The trail to the bottom is very strenuous and can be accessed via the Headhouse Trail that we hiked at the top. This trail hikes you down the gorge. Or you can drive the Keeney Creek Road. This is a very narrow one-lane road and can be very rough and winding and steep, so be cautious while driving. Catherine was able to do it in a non-4-wheel drive car and was fine, but it's just important to be cautious and aware. The drive is absolutely worth it because there's so much to see at the bottom of Nuttalburg, and seeing the coal tipple was really amazing. We are now driving Fayette Station Road. This is the original road that travelers would have to travel on if they wanted to cross New River prior to the construction of the new River Gorge Bridge that is there today. Along this scenic drive, the National Park Service provides a number of interpretive signs that you can learn more about the coal history that was happening here on New River Gorge. If you're visiting New River Gorge National Park, consider taking the Fayette Station Road driving tour, because it shows you what vehicle travel would have been like prior to the construction of the modern New River Gorge Bridge. Prior to the construction of the modern bridge, travelers would have to travel Fayette Station Road, and it would take almost 45 minutes to cross to the other side of the river. Today, crossing the river only takes about 45 seconds. Today, New River Gorge Bridge is one of the highest vehicular bridges in the world, and in 2013 it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places because of its significant impact on local transportation and because of its engineering significance. The bridge itself also attracts visitors who want the thrill of heights. Every fall, Bridge Day is hosted on New River Gorge Bridge. This festival celebrates the bridge and features rappelling, ascending, and base jumping from the bridge by professional thrill seekers. Throughout the year, visitors can also do a bridge walk, where you are safely harnessed with a guide and you walk along the quarter-mile catwalk below the bridge roadway, giving you a thrilling view of the bridge and river below.
just made it to river level along our drive of Fayette Station Road, and we're about to walk across the reproduction of the original bridge that once crossed this river. In our next video, we will be sharing our visit to Grandview and Sandstone Falls at New River Gorge National Park. So make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss it. We have lots of other videos on our channel about destinations in West Virginia, like Blackwater Falls, Seneca Rocks, and more. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and we'll see you next time.